How many times have you been scrolling through your social media and you will see an ad pop up or a sponsored event pop up either in your stories or on your timeline, and it wants you to register for a webinar or a masterclass? Well, these are online events. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Special events that are either online events or that require an enrollment. So let's go. You're listening to Marketing Adventure, the hub for business, fashion, marketing, and other CTE educators who integrate marketing into the learning experience. I'm your host, Jackie Walker. Each week, I'll cover marketing education concepts, strategies, tips, trends, frameworks, and other information to equip you to connect your classroom to digital natives while cultivating an engaged learning environment. So come on into the room where your favorite beverage, snacks, and even your cell phone are all welcome. As I mentioned, special events that are online are generally things like a webinar. So the webinar is one of the first things I'm going to talk about, in addition to 4 other types of online or enrollment events. So again, just to reiterate, a special event is something that occurs occasionally. It's not a daily routine event that occurs with a company. They actually put these on, say, quarterly, biannually, semi-annually, annually. It's something that just really is not going to be your everyday thing, which is why it's called special, and it's an event. So a webinar is a seminar that's conducted over the internet to promote a product or service. And it's generally something that you receive an invitation to because you've signed up through some link that you clicked on, or you had a form that was sent to you through email and you signed up in that method, or what have you. But anyway, you had to sign up for the webinar. You don't automatically get access to a webinar. It's something that you put your email address, your name, your phone number to, and then you started receiving emails about it. And then there was a specific date in which you were to attend and hear the webinar. Now, the webinar could be live or it could be a recording. It really just depends on the person or the company that's putting on the webinar. Now, you may ask, well, what truly is a webinar? I know it's something I sign up for. I know it's something that is on the internet, but what is it? Well, here's some characteristics of a webinar. First of all, it is an effective form of two-way communication where the attendees and the presenters give information, receive information, and share information with each other in real time. Now, that could be true, or most webinars that I attend, actually, the presenter is speaking. There is generally not a way for the attendees to immediately interact with the presenter because they have that feature turned off because they want to do their presentation and they don't want that interruption. Now, they do tend to have a chat in which the attendees can post their comments in the chat. And then there's generally like a moderator who's in the chat answering questions, reiterating information that the presenter has spoken about, or put links in there. If the presenter says, hey, you can go to this link and find XYZ, they will tend to put links in there and just be there to answer questions that many of the attendees may have, and just to keep a tab on what is being said in the chat. Now, at some point in time, the presenter may turn the feature on where people are able to come on to the screen with them and engage in a conversation with them. A lot of times they'll do that when they want to use someone as an example. Maybe they're or talking about how to do something or how your business can do this or that, and they want someone to come on and share what they've been doing, and then they may give them advice or just use them as an example for whatever it is that they're talking about on the webinar. Recently, I attended a gardening webinar, and so the presenter did her spiel, and then she had people from the audience volunteer to come on and tell what they had been doing with their particular garden and some issues that they may have been running into with gardening. And so then she was able to give them some feedback and some ideas of what they could do to correct whatever issues they may have had with their garden, and to begin to either start harvesting or whatever it is that they needed to do with the garden. So that's an example of how engagement happens with a webinar. Now, the webinars are generally to educate an audience about the business of the presenter. And so in that case, it was a gardening webinar. And you might think, well, what can you talk about as far as gardening? I mean, it was a 5-hour webinar, and she went over a lot of things. But one of the main things that she was selling was her book about gardening. It was Simple Gardening. And then she was also selling her course on how to do certain things with the garden. And you got to join a community and be engaged with others who would be your help with getting your garden set up and doing all the things, fantastic things that she was talking about. So it's to educate the audience about the business, and it's also to sell whatever it is that business has. Now, if you're not trying to sell anything through a webinar, webinars can be used to help build authority in your particular industry or your niche. So you would put on webinars to share information, your knowledge, to show, that you are a person who is very knowledgeable or has a lot of experience with whatever the product or service is that you're talking about. So it helps people become familiar with the person or the company so that they can, the audience can then gain some knowledge about who they are and just become more familiar with what that person has to offer, whether they're selling products or services. So they don't necessarily have to sell through in a webinar, but they want to try to build up some authority. They also could use a webinar for demonstration purposes. So people who want to become more familiar with your product or service, they can see you demonstrate that product or service through your webinars. And by becoming more familiar with the product or service, then they're more likely to be intrigued or want to make a purchase. You can also use webinars to bring on new customers. So once someone has bought your product, you can then have webinars to help them walk through the process of using your product or service. Let's say, how could you use that in the fashion industry? Well, let's say someone became a customer of yours, you're a stylist, and someone has become your client. Then you can do a webinar to explain the process of what you will be doing with them, and then also use webinars to demonstrate some of the things that you will want them to know about or begin to think about or prepare for when you come to have a session with them. So webinars are informational in that way, that it helps prepare people for whatever it is that your business is offering them. And also, webinars can be used to train new and existing employees, because, like I said, you can pre-record them and use them as a course-like setup. So they can go through various modules on a webinar, it could be a one-time training, but it's something that is recorded that is available for the employees to use to learn some things about the company. And then also, webinars are used to generate leads for a business. Like I said before, you could have all these webinars that are training or giving people information, say like the garden webinar. When I signed up for that webinar, they got my email address and they got my phone number and my name. So I constantly receive emails about things that have to do with gardening. And of course, a lot of time it is information that leads me, or they are trying to lead me to make a purchase for something. Sometimes I receive a text message from them letting me know that they're going live or that they're having another webinar because they want to keep me in the loop and they want to keep me knowledgeable about what's going on. And it's repeated constantly so that maybe one day I will decide that, let me go ahead and sign up for that course, or let me go ahead and get that book. So it's a lead for them because they have my information and they can constantly reach out and contact me about what they're doing or about their business. So webinars do generate leads for a business. Next up is premium. Now, a premium is a free gift or something that is pretty inexpensive, that's used to reward a purchase, or purchasers of selected products. So this is often used with, say, your cosmetics or your fragrances, because what they're doing is if you happen to make a purchase of a particular product, then they may give you some free samples of other items in that line, or they may say, hey, if you buy this, then you can get this little small version of one of our other products for maybe like $1 or $5 or what have you. So it's a premium because you only get it because you made a purchase of something else already. So it's not something that you can just go in there and say, hey, I want to buy that little sample. No, you have to actually purchase one of their products and then they'll give you or a little product or another sample of something, or they'll give you something at a less expensive cost. Now, some characteristics of premium special events is that they are, like I said, usually used with fragrances, cosmetics, and body care products, and they are for a limited time only. They're very limited time offers. So you can find those during special occasions, say like Valentine's Day, holiday, such as Christmas, or it could be back to school time, Mother's Day, Father's Day. Those are very good times to have premium offers. They're often used when rolling out a new product or a service. So that is a time when they want to intrigue you by offering you premiums with your purchases. And they do tend to drive high sales volume initially because it's like an impulse purchase that you would do in order to receive a premium. A lot of times, they're promoting these things, and because they're limited time offers, then it makes you want to get it so you don't have FOMO, fear of missing out on something. So it does drive up sales volume initially, but because it's limited, that sales volume then tends to dip down because those premium offers are no longer there. And then it leaves really a positive impression on customers because then they feel good about the purchase that they made, because you're giving them a free gift along with their purchases. So it can leave them with a good impression. So those are just some of the characteristics for premiums. And it's a special event because it's not something that occurs all the time. It's like it said, it's usually when there's a launch of a new product or service, or it's during special times of the year. So the third type of special event, that is an online event, or this one can actually be in person as well. It's called a masterclass. Now, a masterclass is an occasion where a business or an individual conducts a class that they're in an area where they're an expert. They have expert knowledge or expert skills in a particular area, and they conduct a class to teach others about this knowledge that they have. Now, a master class can be online like a webinar. It is generally in a webinar format, or it can be in person, maybe it'd be at a hotel or a special event venue or something of that nature. But generally, the people who attend the master class have paid to be a part of that master class because they're paying for the expert knowledge of the person who is presenting the information. Now, some characteristics of the masterclass. I've already mentioned that there's generally a fee to get in, and it can be a little costly because you are getting your information from an expert. They also have to pay for the space that they're using to conduct the masterclass if it's not an online class. And there's also materials that are involved. It could be that they're handing out packets of information, books, or things of that nature to for you to use during the time in which the class is being taught. Now, a masterclass does inform and engage the customers in information, and it creates really exclusivity or like a VIP environment or experience for the customers that are involved in it. And it does allow for hands-on activities for those who are in person. And also, if it's online, there generally is a workbook that will be sent out to you, or it could be some tools or things that are digital tools that are sent to you that you can use while you're going along in the class with the presenter. Now, how can a masterclass be used in a fashion environment? Well, it could be that there's a masterclass for someone who is helping fashion owners start a business, a retail business, maybe an online store. It could be that there's a master class for someone who is teaching a fashion designer how to start their business, get their products out to the public, get their collection seen by a manufacturer or seen by a retailer or various things. So there's a lot of ways that a masterclass can be used in a fashion environment. Now, another type of special event that involves an enrollment of some sort is an ambassador program. Now, ambassadors for a company are people who represent the company in the community. We now call those influencers, right? So there's a program that many companies have that allow influencers or ambassadors to represent them through their social media or out in the community at special events, and that person can be compensated for being a part of the ambassador program, or it could be a voluntary situation. It just really depends on the company or the brand that is offering the ambassador program. Now, this ambassador program can be considered a special event because maybe it only opens once or twice a year. So they may have just those limited enrollment times in which they receive individuals into their program for a certain campaign. Or whatever the company is doing. So an ambassador program, some characteristics of it is that it does help establish trust with potential customers because they see you have these individuals who are vouching for your company or your brand. And especially if those ambassadors that they choose or those influencers that they choose tend to represent the customer base. They tend to look like the customers that they want to purchase from their business. So then if someone sees someone that looks like them and they're promoting your company, then they'll trust that that company is something that would be good for them. It also further allows for further reach into personal networks of ambassadors because an ambassador, again, is representing the company and they're saying, hey, I like this product. This is good, XYZ, or whatever that it is that they're doing to promote. So their friends are naturally going to gravitate towards that product or that service. It also builds brand awareness because you're having people out there talking about your product especially on social media. So then people who normally may not receive your ads or see your ads or have any knowledge of your brand now become aware of your brand because someone is talking about it. It increases traffic and sales for the business, of course, because now people are going to be coming to your business to see about what this product is about, try clothes on, or what have you. And then it improves the brand's overall image because you have people out there who are vouching for your product or your service and helping to bring some positivity to the image of what your company or the brand is all about. And demonstrations are very common in the cosmetic and cookware industry, but they also can be prevalent in the fashion industry because there may be a demonstration on how to coordinate pieces in your wardrobe that you already have, or how to put something together that you may have purchased previously from a store. So there just could be a variety of ways in which demonstrations can be used in the fashion industry. Now, I know when I talked about it being in person last week, I said that it relies on traffic passing by. Now, with an online demonstration, you won't have any traffic passing by, but you have social media. And so it will rely on a lot of repeated presentation of the demonstration webinar on social media. So you're going to have a lot of ads, a lot of sharing, and those are the things that demonstrations will rely on. If you're doing an online demonstration of something, it's going to rely on a lot of word of mouth, passing the information along, ads, and just getting the information about the demonstration out there to the public. And the goal for a demonstration is to create impulse sales again, because you want people to make a purchase based on what they've seen. It's kind of like that limited time offer kind of a thing as well. And then people don't want to miss out on the opportunity to purchase whatever product or service that you're demonstrating. So there you have it. To sum it up, there are 5 different ways in which special events can be done online and through enrollment, and that's going to be your webinar, your masterclass, your premium offers, your demonstration, and an ambassador program. I hope this has been very beneficial to your learning and that you have gotten some information you maybe didn't know about as far as special events are concerned. I do want to invite you to come back next week when we will talk about special event functions. And this is probably the one that you're more familiar with because it will involve things like fashion shows and other types of functions. I do thank you for joining me here at Marketing Adventure with Jackie, and I hope that you have a wonderfully blessed day. Thanks for listening to Marketing Adventure. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and share this episode with someone you think would benefit from the information shared here today. If you have any questions or want to connect with me, find me on Instagram at Marketing Adventure. All links and resources discussed in this episode can be found in the show notes at marketingadventure.com.